Hello, everyone, and welcome back to It All Starts With a Wish podcast. My name is Rachel.
And I'm Mark.
And here we are again.
Here we are again, indeed. So I was reading the Disney Files, which, for those of you who don't know, it is a magazine that Disney Vacation Club puts out every quarter. So it's a quarterly magazine. They give you some really cool updates. I think I've talked about it on the podcast before. But as I usually do when it comes in the mail, we get 2 copies for whatever reason.
Yeah,
one goes to you, one goes to me.
I think it's because one of the things is in my name and one of them is your names first.
I think they're both in both of our names.
Well, then at some point, they asked one of us for a name and then both
for some
got
reason,
put down.
And they send them to the same address, and you would think that they would be like...
We just need to call and say, we just want one.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Anyways, so we end up just recycling one right away. But whatever. A waste of what?
Paper.
Oh, okay.
Like our son says.
He does.
A waste of paper.
Paper. Anyways.
Ours are hard, okay? Especially in New England.
It's true. It's very true. I was reading through the editor's note. The editor of the paper, a gentleman by the name of...
Does anyone read magazines anymore, or are you the only one?
Are you done?
I just could see you, like, with your morning coffee and your Disney Files. And
yeah, I do, okay?
I know you do.
Back off.
Hey.
Anyways.
Feisty. All right, editor's note.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You're taking swings. I'm going to swing back.
I'm not taking swings. I'm making observations. Go ahead. Editor's note.
Yes.
What did he say?
Ryan March is the editor. And clearly people read it because they mail it out and they keep making it. So clearly people are reading it.
Well, they could just throw it away like we do. Anyways, what does he have to say?
If nobody read it, then
what
they
does he have to
still
say?
make it.
What does he have to say?
It's like newspapers. They don't make them anymore because nobody reads them, okay?
No, it's all online.
Although we did... there was a local newspaper in the restaurant we went to last night. There was a heck of a story about an otter in it that was, like, great. The otter got hit, but the auditor was okay.
He puts it down and goes, oh, I'm so glad I picked up that newspaper. That was such a good story. It wasn't even a good story. It was just a story. It was a story.
It was a good story.
Anyways, the otter's fine.
Ryan March is the editor of the Disney Files, and he always writes a little article as like an introduction on the inside cover. And this one is called Welcome Home. He talks a little bit about how it's the 70th anniversary this year of Disneyland.
Yes.
In California. And he talks about longtime Disney legend Marty Sklar. Marty Sklar was one of the first Imagineers, kind of leading with Walt in the creation of Disneyland, was pivotal in a lot of very famous rides in both Disneyland, Walt Disney World, and the other theme parks across the world. But Ryan was pretty close friends with Marty, although there was like a huge age difference between the two of them. But Marty was like a cast member for almost 50 years, so worked for the Disney company for a very long time before he died. And Ryan was writing how he, in 2001, was a writer for Eyes and Ears. So Eyes and Ears was a publication that was sent to Walt Disney World cast members to kind of like keep them in the know and like...
The eyes and ears.
Yeah, exactly. And he was writing about how after September 11th, the tragic events of September 11th, he had to write an introductory column to the issue. And in his introductory column, he says this: "My introductory column in that issue recognized cast members for their role in providing guests with a quote-unquote escape, supporting a place that brings fantasy to a world sometimes treated harshly by reality." And Marty, he shared this with Marty for editorializing, and Marty wrote in his famous red pen, Ryan says, in big letters, W-R-O-N-G, wrong, in big letters right across it.
Harsh.
And Marty said this, quote, "Appreciate the sentiment, but we don't deliver an escape. We deliver reassurance because we're optimists," end quote. And then Ryan says this: "Marty was right, just as he was in countless notes he had left me for the next 15 years. While I look back at his notes frequently, I kept all of them. That first one rolls through my brain like one of those core memory orbs from Inside Out films. Only this one scribbled with Marty's red ink. I think about it every time we create a new edition of the Disney Files magazine, ensuring that the stories we tell highlight not just fantasy, but also the best parts of our reality. And I read that, and I know a lot of people going through a lot of things these days. And we always say that we go to Disney and it provides, like, the Disney bubble. It provides an escape from reality. But in a lot of ways, Marty, right, this influential Imagineer who worked with Walt, said, no, it's not an escape from reality. It reminds us of the best of who we are and what the world can be. So we're optimists. So anyways, I really liked it, and I thought I would share.
What a great story.
It was.
Reminds me of, I just reminded myself of Bear in the Big Blue House. Thanks, Shadow. What
Only
a cool
some will
story.
get that. Although our son subjects
But
us
no,
to
it's true.
watching
I
it.
feel like a lot of the times when they say the bubble and everything, we see it as an escape. But, you know, I think it's a nice reminder that it's not really an escape. It's just what the good. It's all the good that we want life to be when we're there. And we're just reassured that the good is still there instead of pretending that the bad doesn't exist. And I think that's what he's trying to say, because it does exist. But they're optimists. So, why do you have your dad joke book?
Because it's time for a dad joke.
Dad joke?
Stop it. It's time for a dad joke.
Okay. I hope it's a good one.
In honor of the fact that it was the NFL draft this week. Why does the stadium get so hot after a game?
I don't know. Why?
All the fans leave.
Yeah.
You laughed eventually.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I didn't do fan and fan. I was like, wouldn't it be cooler that all the people left? And then I quickly, in my brain, went, a fan. So if you didn't get it, that's...
Today we're
just ruined
talking
it.
about best memories, funniest moments, and lessons learned on a recent trip. So
Yeah.
hopefully you've already listened to our previous 3 episodes where we have recapped our entire trip,
That's
everything
in
that we
more
did,
in
all
depth.
the highlights, much more in depth. Today is just kind of a summary of all that and like the major takeaways, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Key takeaways
Yeah.
from our recent trip to Walt Disney World.
All right. Starting off, key takeaway, I think the earliest flight was the best. Going there. Mm-hmm. From where we are, we have about a 2.5 hour flight. So for us, you know, we can still make a day of something if we leave really early. And it was nice traveling with a toddler. He slept the majority of the time because it was really early. We were up at 3 a.m. to get into Boston, which is where we're from, that area. And he was up for maybe like an hour of the flight and then slept the rest of it. So I thought that was like the perfect flight going there. So I definitely think sticking with earlier flights if you can, depending on the time, you know, the amount of time it takes for you to get there.
Tends to be much less turbulence in the morning. The plane's usually always there, so short of there being bad weather, you're probably not going to get delayed because you're not waiting for a plane to arrive.
Yeah, first flight out.
You get there, and then you have a whole day ahead of you, pretty much, and you don't feel bad at that point about... I mean, you're going to probably want to go to bed at like 6:30, 7 o'clock like we did. It's probably going to be an early night, but that's not always a bad thing either because you're probably going to have an early morning, your first morning too. So, but you don't feel bad about it. You don't feel like you're wasting a day.
Yeah, because you had, you know, a good chunk of, 4 or 5 hours in the middle of the day to do something.
Right.
Whether it be around the resort or not, or Disney Springs, you still had time.
Right, and you could go to a park. You could buy a park ticket that day. You do run the risk, though, I think, with that of something going wrong and not getting there and then wasting it.
Yeah, I think that's the risk on the travel days is that if something gets pushed back and you don't make it, then you paid for a whole day and didn't make it.
But as of the recording of this, right, Disney is offering a free day to the water parks.
Yeah, on your check-in day.
On your first day.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
So you can literally fly in. We got there by 10:30, 11 o'clock. If our son was older...
spend the rest of the day. Yeah, you could spend the rest
like,
of the day at the water park.
People really like water parks. Like, we could have gone to the water parks and spent the whole afternoon there. We decided to go to Disney Springs, which is also a great option.
Yeah.
Get a good meal, whatever.
Yeah, that deal right now is really, really nice because there's no extra. It's free. Mm-hmm. It's just your first day there. So, I mean, that depending on when your flight is and stuff. But if you have an early flight and your first day there, or you're driving or something, and you get there early enough, you get a free day at the water park without, an upcharge to your ticket. So, that's kind of fun. And both things are open for like the first time in a long time. Both water parks.
Both water parks.
Both things. You don't know what I'm talking about?
No.
The things.
Both water parks are now open, which is awesome, and
it's for the first time in a long time.
Yes, since before COVID.
Yeah, so that's really cool.
Blizzard Beach and Typhoon Lagoon have been open at the same time. So,
all right, what are your takeaways?
This probably falls under the lessons learned category if we're keeping up with chronologically speaking.
Okay.
Don't book a character breakfast.
I knew you were going to say
the first morning you're there with a toddler.
Yeah.
Or an infant. Maybe with an older kid, this would be okay.
I mean, I could even stretch it to any kid that hasn't had an experience with characters up close.
Or was not old enough to remember. Because he has had experiences.
Yeah, that's true. Or not old enough to remember their first experience.
But he was 11 months old.
Because, I mean, even if you're 7, if this is the first time, sometimes it can still be like, ugh.
Yeah.
I don't really like this. So... yeah, continue. But yeah, it can be blanketed to know your kid, but we also thought our kid wasn't going to have a hard time. Peep the Instagram. I have a reel of his reaction if you want to get a look at that.
Horror. Just sheer fear in his eyes as Tigger approaches. Tigger of all people. What's so scary about Tigger?
I know. Anyways.
The wonderful thing about Tiggers is Tiggers are wonderful things.
Yeah, no, they're not. No. They're terrible things.
Well, to him at least it seems.
But yeah, no, I agree.
But that was, I think, a huge mistake on our part. We thought it was a great idea. We were going to go to Magic Kingdom the first morning.
We kind of like jumped into the magic,
get there early. Let's do a nice breakfast that first morning. Get there early. We'll bang out a few rides. We'll, kind of really start off the
whole plan kind of fell apart anyway.
It did, but that aside, your parents being late and not getting into extra magic, early entry hours, that aside,
maybe don't start with a character.
It would have been okay if we didn't have a character meal that morning. We would have got on all the rides. We could have done our 6 rides in 2 hours episode. Yeah. Like, we would have been better off if we had not wasted an hour in the Crystal Palace having a lovely breakfast. It's worth pointing out. It was a good breakfast.
Yeah, no, it was great until it
just
not.
Not
so maybe the lesson learned is ease into character experiences.
Correct.
Test the waters before you dive in.
Right.
So if we had seen a parade or we had seen, a character walking by before that, he might have also freaked out. Who knows? But the going up close and personal first experience was not a good thing for us.
And it more or less ruined him for the rest of the trip. Because he would have had, I think, a more positive experience with the characters he really knows, like Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse.
Doing one of those first.
If he hadn't had that first experience.
Not the ones he didn't know. It was all in good intentions.
2 points here. Don't make a character reservation for the first day for characters that your kids don't really know. And 2, don't, with a toddler or an infant, don't do a character meal on your first full day.
Yeah. Ease into it.
Let them see the characters and parades and from a distance first. And then...
yeah, and then we can jump in. Yes. We were just really eager, and it was all good intentions, and it just backfired a little bit.
It didn't work.
It's okay.
But
I don't have another one. Do you have another one? I'm not reminded of anything right now.
Oh, I have a lot of things.
You have a lot of things?
This kind of ties in with the funniest moment. Communication. Make sure...
yeah, especially if you have, like, a large group of people.
Make sure you don't let someone go to the bathroom and not tell them first where you're going.
Well, we did tell them.
If you're not going to wait.
Where we were going. And he went there. We just didn't tell them where we were going right this second, which is where we got split. But he knew the end destination.
If you don't know what we're talking about, go back to part 1 and you'll hear about Rachel's father's saga where he went to the bathroom.
And we disappeared on him. But he knew where the reservation was.
His daughters decided that they wanted to go shopping instead of wait for him to go to the bathroom. And he didn't bring his phone, also a problem.
Okay, also bring your phone.
And he got lost.
You need it. Unless you're going to be attached to somebody by a string.
Well, we thought that he got lost. He actually didn't.
No, he didn't
really
get lost. We were lost looking for him. He was found. He was where he was supposed to be.
Correct. And his son-in-law was the one that was correct.
Yes, you were. Yes, you were.
But lesson learned.
I think
and a funniest moment.
I think a funniest moment I mean, it's not really funny. I just thought it was so cute. 2 things. One, that our son absolutely loved the Haunted Mansion. I think that's hysterical. Because he doesn't like Winnie the Pooh and Friends, but like the characters. But he wanted to go see, quote, I want to see ghosts.
Tigger scares him, but he loves ghosts. Yes.
And every skeleton in there was Jack. Every skeleton that he saw was Jack Skellington. So I thought that was really funny. And the fact that he was, for his desserts, if you don't know, he has some food allergies. But he very happily enjoyed double fisting ice cream cones. When we didn't want the ice cream. Just wanted the ice cream cones. And it was very funny watching him sit there and just eat the ice cream cones. And we actually had somebody see it and go, oh my gosh, like, that's so sad that, like, you couldn't have the ice cream because of, like, cross-contamination. I said, oh, no, that's not what happened. He didn't want the ice cream. We tried to put ice cream in the cones, and he said no, and that he just wanted ice cream cones. So don't feel bad when you see him with empty cones. He is very happy.
I don't know that this is a best memory, but I think it is a positive experience, and I think also could be construed as a lesson learned, too. I was very worried about him eating on this trip. Very concerned about the food and the allergies that he has. And although I was very stressed in the lead up to the trip, when we got there, everything was so allergy friendly. And once you said that in a restaurant or you were looking on the My Disney Experience app, everything is so well spelt out, and they go that extra 10 miles to make sure, not just 1 mile, they don't just go an extra mile.
I was going to say, they go
extra 10 miles.
Wow.
To make sure that you feel comfortable that what you're eating is safe. And to have a kid that age with an allergy like that is very stressful, going to a place where you're not familiar with the food and you're not the one preparing the food, but they really go above and beyond.
Yeah, I mean, every sit-down restaurant we went to was like, oh, hold on, do you want to speak to the chef? Let me get an allergy menu for you. Let me fill out a slip. They fill out a slip, and they make sure. They don't just say, oh, yeah, you have allergies, okay. No, like, they go over it with you multiple times. Like, nope, it was peanut and egg. Okay, peanut and egg. And then, like, they just keep doing it, and it was just very thorough. And it puts your mind at ease that, like, multiple people know. And we did speak to the chef, I think just once or twice, just to make sure, because, the other cast members were like, listen, I'm going to go check, but if you want to, I'm not sure, so I'm not going to give you wrong information. So they either sent the chef over or asked if we would like to, and if they weren't sure, we of course said, yes, let's talk to the chef and make sure that, everything is good. But it was so easy. It was so much easier than we thought on the app to see how everything was broken down. So literally we could just look up egg and peanut in, like, whatever columns they were in, and then kind of match up what matched. It was, like, so easy, and I thought it was going to have to be, like, a bigger process. But yeah, it was.
And we'll do a whole episode on this, how all that works, and kind of, a rundown of our experience with all of that. But I just
no
thought
reactions.
That was a very positive experience. In that sense.
And we were lucky there was, no medical mishaps or anything like that. Like the last trip, we weren't in Disney, but nothing crazy happened. And it's a lot easier than I think people think. And I mean, it makes sense. There's so many people going there with so many different types of allergies. So, they really do go above and beyond for the people who have them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Funny, and also a lesson. Again, we lost the stroller twice.
All right.
We lost the stroller on our first day. Both times Magic Kingdom. We lost the stroller on the first day and on the last day.
Wait, when did we lose it on the first day?
At Magic Kingdom. After Crystal Palace, I couldn't find the stroller. You don't remember that?
I found it. I found it both times.
And so I think
I just want to say.
Key takeaways here with this one. One, if you have a stroller like again, a scissor stroller's the way to go. Problem with scissor strollers, they're small.
Yeah.
We also had a Mickey Mouse stroller that,
literally everybody has.
Everybody and their mother
The Costco
had.
one.
So...
And they sell them in the resort.
They do.
So everybody had it.
So maybe don't get a Mickey Mouse stroller that everybody else has.
Maybe.
But if you do have one that's like everybody else's, make sure you have something on it that's unique and draws your attention to it. Have something that either a balloon or a certain bag or even a name tag or something that really stands out, something that calls your attention to it, because you're going to want that.
What we should have done is when we got those balloons,
we should have tied
we should have tied at least one of the balloons on.
Yeah, but when you had the balloon on the stroller, it kept hitting me in the head, and I was
that's right. You're right. We did have it on the stroller at one point.
But,
but we did have a deciding factor because we had that thing. Oh.
Yes, the bag.
I have to segue for a second. Because I was listening for research on one of our last episodes for content creation and all that stuff. And I was listening, and I'll pull it up, and I'll even put it in this episode if we have to, of you saying that we probably wouldn't use that hook-on thing with more compartments.
We've already talked about this.
I know, but I wanted to say again
we've already
that at
been
least that
there.
Was something to look for on the stroller.
It was. We already been there. That was a very good idea. That bag worked well. We used it a lot, and it was something unique.
Yeah.
And that was how almost every time that I looked for the stroller, I found it. So you were right on that. I will give you that. The bag was a good idea. However,
I actually looked for our cups.
The first time what happened was a cast member moved the stroller.
Yeah.
So the parking situation sometimes can get crazy, and
so
sometimes
they start
cast
to
members
spread it
will
out.
move it. So if you do not see the stroller in the exact same place where you parked it, don't panic just yet. Talk with the cast members in that area because they may have moved it to better make room for other strollers. Yeah, the walkways
and stuff, yeah.
So that's what happened at Crystal Palace. It got moved. The last night, as you may have remembered in part 3, it was parked between two double wides, and I couldn't see it. And that's where
maybe we
a balloon
can patent
something
worked. That's like a glow-in-the-dark type thing.
Legitimately, though, like a glow stick or something may not be a bad idea.
Yeah.
And, again, don't use the same Mickey stroller that everybody and their mother has because they sell it in the parks and at Costco.
Costco?
Costco.
Sorry. I keep doing that to you.
Yeah, you do.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. You're going to feel real bad when I have a stroke. And then that's why he was mispronouncing everything. Yeah. Uh-huh.
No.
Uh-huh.
But no, in all seriousness, if you can make some kind of identifying thing on your... I mean, a lot of people have their names on it, like if you get the rentals and stuff, but still, sometimes that's not enough in a crowd of strollers.
Right.
Something that sits above, like a flag or a balloon, can really help. Or at night, if there's some kind of glow stick thing that you can be like, that's mine.
Because at night, it can be very difficult to find those strollers because they're not always parked in well-lit
areas. And they're all
black.
And like, think about just looking at a sea of everybody looks the same strollers. You're like, well, which one is mine?
Yeah, because you can't see the colors. So maybe like a stroller that's like a neon-y color even. Like get like
same thing you do with like your suitcases,
stroller.
Right? If you get off a plane, you get like a very specific pattern or bright color so you can be like, yep, that's mine. Do it with your stroller too.
Yeah. Don't panic if you don't find it right away. Don't be me.
We panicked.
Have a total panic.
Again, go back and
because
listen to our whole story.
It was exactly where I had parked it, actually. It was in the same spot. But two jerks with big double wides. You know, this is like... No. You know what? These people who have these big strollers... You fumble
They
around
just think
with them.
they can do whatever they want with them.
You make a fool out of yourself when you're trying to fold them up and get them on the bus, and everybody sees your dad dropping all of the popcorn everywhere and spilling drinks because he can't handle it, and you're aggravated, and everybody's like, dude, I just want to get on the bus. You know what? No. These double wides, they're a bad thing. It's like those big trucks with the big wheels, and people think that they're cool because they have a big truck with big wheels, and they take up 5 parking spaces because they think, oh, I have such a big truck, I can take up the whole parking lot. You know, it's the same thing like cars parking. Same thing. Like, have some decency and park respectfully.
Not block in a little stroller.
Right. Park your stroller in a respectful manner. Anyways,
I feel like there were so many like funny moments that I just like can't really think of right now. Or lesson learned, I guess, for me. For this is like a personal one, or maybe it can go out to moms everywhere or first time parents everywhere. Is that things are not always going to go according to plan, and maybe don't be feisty with your husband when things don't go according to plan. And sometimes you're going to have a pool day and then you actually end up sleeping for 4 hours because your kid just sleeps. And you wanted to have a fun pool day, but some things just don't happen the way it just is what it is. It's going to happen the way it's going to happen. So
just to highlight the important part of that, do not get feisty with your husband.
Yeah.
Don't give him tood because things didn't go exactly as planned. However, I will also add on to this that lesson learned, expect everything to take longer than you think it's going to. That morning was a perfect example, the one that Rachel is referencing. This was our non-park day.
But I just want to say that I knew it was going to take that long. And I told you that it was going to take that long.
because there were factors that extended everything, okay? We showed up there.
Okay, yeah, well, the reservation
is usually
messed up.
a very fast restaurant. You usually show up at Kona. It's usually not that busy. You can usually eat and get out of there within an hour, okay?
Yeah.
We should have been out of there by 9 o'clock. That's what I was thinking. We had a reservation at 8 o'clock. We should have been out of there by 9 o'clock. We didn't get out of that restaurant until almost 10 o'clock. Okay, so we were already an hour behind the 8 ball by the time that we even left there. To my point, though, these things can happen, right? Mistakes can happen. Things can go sideways. So anticipate that to happen. Maybe don't make a dining reservation on your relaxed day at a hotel that's not your own hotel. Looking back, I kind of wish that we had made a reservation at Cape May that morning. Because then even if things had gone sideways, we were already at our hotel. It would have been much easier to have a relaxing pool day rather than already being out. And then later in the day, going out maybe a little bit earlier over to the Polynesian, into the Grand Floridian, and looking at the eggs then.
Yeah.
Because...
Well, we also didn't do that, I think, because Dormalong Bay wasn't open.
Right.
So I think that there was a few factors in why we were like, oh, we'll just like go out for like the day and not like hang back. But yeah, things are going to take a lot longer.
But things went sideways, and it happens.
They did.
And one of the worst feelings on a vacation is when you're feeling rushed because you have a reservation or something that you really want to get to, and you feel like you're not going to make it in time.
And then you don't.
We've done this again and again in Disney with a lot of things where we haven't left ourselves enough time. If you have a reservation, a dining reservation, at a park or at another hotel, leave yourself an hour and a half, 2 hours. Right?
And we honestly say that with any transportation, like
that much in ahead because you never know what's going to happen.
Even if you wanted to get to the park early or at a certain time in the afternoon, still give yourself that time because I can guarantee you something is probably going to be held up out of your control. But just give yourself enough time. You'd rather be there early and feel like, oh, now I can actually stop and get a coffee, or now I can sit down and take in the scenery. I don't know.
Right.
Instead of being like running
and
to
that is
your
what
next
happened
thing.
that morning. The dining reservation took much longer than expected. We got out of there. I really wanted to see the eggs. Our son was having a good time riding the monorail, so didn't want to not allow him to enjoy that experience. Then we made a poor choice by going to Art of Animation to try to see lightning that day instead of we should have just gone back to our hotel. He could have slept in our hotel. Maybe we could have gone swimming at our hotel and saved Lightning
Well, we were
McQueen
also supposed
for
to
when
go
we
to
were...
Pop Century anyway to be with my parents at the pool for
I know,
the
but
day.
they could have come over
No, I
to
know,
us
I know,
too.
I know.
So we misplayed very much our off day.
Yeah.
And what I think that did was a day that was supposed to be very relaxing
Was not.
and regenerative. In some ways was, I think, for you guys because you got to sleep.
Yeah.
But it was not as,
No,
I
you
think,
were mad.
as fun or exciting as it could have been. Because,
were not
I
happy.
ended up having to go back to the hotel by myself, and I did the
know.
laundry by myself, and it was not as great of a day as it could have been.
Yeah.
We made a lot of missteps along the way, and we let a few things that didn't go quite as planned kind of really turn the day sideways.
Yeah. Yeah. And attitude is everything.
Yes.
Attitude is everything, and don't get salty with your husband when he wants to just ride the monorail with your son. That's the moral.
But
of
I'm
the story.
salty because you said that we could have a pool day.
Because
And
that
we
was
didn't.
anticipated until it didn't happen when things...
Guess what wasn't anticipated? Riding the full monorail loop. Which takes like 30, 40 minutes.
He was having fun.
Okay, but I'm just saying, like, that wasn't factored into it. Anyways, moving on. So I don't
If
get
you
really
want one of
mad.
the funniest moments,
Yeah, I have
you
a reel
posted
of that.
the video?
Yes, I have. Of me yelling
Yes.
at you?
not yelling at me,
I had
but
one.
giving me the
one
look.
day. One. And that's today.
Find that video on our socials. It's pretty funny. I'm so happy I was filming when that happened. That was a good capture by me.
And you laughed when I
Anyways.
said it, too. You were like, I'm filming. And I didn't know you were
I
filming me.
gotcha.
Well, it's a raw
Anyways.
moment.
Yeah.
Which I guess just segues into some things aren't magical. You know? There are non-magical moments that can happen, but it's how you bounce back from them.
Emotions
I
are
guess.
real.
Yes.
And just because you're in Disney doesn't mean that you're not going to feel angry at times or tired or sad. Like, things are going to happen on your trip. Emotions are neither good nor bad, right? It's how you use them. And do you let them ruin your trip?
Yes.
Or do you use them to have a more positive experience? Right?
That should be the answer.
That should be the answer.
But
Hopefully will be in the future. We'll work on it, right?
oh, we're working on a lot of things over here. What else is on your list?
This isn't necessarily either or, but I think your lessons learned oftentimes are some of the funniest moments of the trip. So don't let, to my point of what I just made about emotions are neither good nor bad. Like, when you look back on things,
Like, okay, maybe we
some of
shouldn't
the
have done that.
funniest
but it was funny.
things that happen on your trip are mistakes that you make.
Yeah.
Because then you can laugh about them later.
It's
like
true.
losing your father, or like some of the most memorable experiences of a trip are when things
Are usually not anything to do with the trip itself.
don't happen
It's
the way
just
that you had planned.
something
right?
else.
But again, important lesson learned. When there is a new ride in the park, don't forget that there's a new ride in the park, and don't not book a lightning lane for the new ride in the park. Do you wanna give me your feedback
Mark
on
did
this?
not book a lightning lane for Tiana's Bayou Adventure. I didn't know that he didn't do this until we got there. And then he was like,
I had honestly forgot.
I said, when is Tiana's or something? Or like, when are we going to do Tiana's or something? Because my sister asked me. And you were like, so the thing is, and I was like, what? You didn't book a lightning lane for Tiana's? And he was like, I forgot about it. I did Space Mountain instead.
I honestly forgot. Because it's been so long since Splash Mountain's been open the last few times that we've been there. I haven't worried about
I know.
that. So I forgot that
No,
that
we
was
talked
a thing.
about it so much beforehand.
And with the tiers that they have set up, I saw Space Mountain before Tiana's. And I went, oh yeah, Space Mountain, that's the tier 1 I should get for that day.
So we didn't
Actually,
ride
for
Tiana's.
multiple days that
Yeah,
I got lightning
we
lanes
didn't
for
ride
Magic Kingdom.
Tiana's. Or Tron.
I did not get Tiana's.
I mean, I'm not that sad about Tron.
Listen, we had an opportunity to book a Tron single-use lightning lane. We could have done that, and you said I don't care. that
Yeah,
much
no, I
about
really
it.
don't. I
So
didn't
we
care.
didn't end up booking it because
I know, but because we've
you
rode
said
it before.
that you didn't want that. Tiana's, I will own.
Okay.
That was my mistake.
No, but I'm just saying, like, there are some things in this trip that we didn't ride And I started saying it to you, and you were like, oh, yeah, oh, yeah, oh, yeah. I'm like, yeah, all of my favorite things. We only did one of them. Living with the Land. I got to ride Living with the Land. But we didn't do Spaceship Earth. We didn't do Soarin'. We didn't do Tron, which is not, like, a big deal for me. It's not, like, one of my favorite things. We didn't do Tiana's.
People Mover.
We didn't do the Every time this reopens a wound for me. Every time I think about what I didn't do, just reopens a whole new thing for me. So yeah, we didn't do Carousel of Progress.
Well, I wasn't anticipating. There were certain ones that I knew that with our son, we probably
I know, me too, but like sometimes if I'm like, oh, he's sleeping, maybe we could just like hold him during the thing. Things just didn't
work out to the point where we got on some of them, unfortunately.
So Rachel was kind of sad that I didn't get to ride some of my favorite things. Maybe that's why it didn't feel like a fulfilling trip, because most of the things that I really want to ride we didn't do. But it's okay. Everyone had fun. I still had fun. It was just like when I thought about it, I'm like, you know how many times I said Spaceship Earth? Or we went to like try and then it was like, every no, the line is way too long.
The fates were against us.
I know.
The line was too long every time we walked up.
I know, but
we didn't ever time it right for that ride. But we timed it right for a lot of other things and experiences. And our son had a great time. And the older that he gets and the older that kids get, the more rides they'll be able to do and the more things they'll find interesting. So I think that's an important lesson learned, that don't expect to get on everything when you go with a kid that age.
I didn't, but all those things are things that he can ride.
He can't ride Soaring.
Oh, he can't ride Soaring. Maybe next time we go, he might be able to.
So, no, I probably will. Honestly, he's not that far off of the height requirement right now.
He wasn't.
But anyways, we did miss a lot, and so expect that though when you travel with a kid that age, and make sure if there are new rides that you really want to do, that you get the lightning lanes. It is worth pointing bold letters and underline it on a sticky note. That there was extra magic hours that we could have attended on our last evening there.
That was so late.
Rachel decided that she didn't want to go out at 9:45 at night. Grandma would have sat with our son in the room. And we could have gone back to the park and rode Tiana's, but someone just wanted to go to bed.
I put him down. You know what it's like to put him down? You start laying in a dark room and you're on a bed, and then you expect me to be like, yeah, let's go. Like, no, I'm in a dark room on a comfy bed, and he's sleeping next to me, and I'm just starting to doze.
We had a chance. That's all I'm saying. You had your chance and you blew it.
It's fine.
Anyways. Best memories. Let's end with our best memories from the trip.
Just one?
No.
Or like a few?
Memories. Plural.
Honestly, one of my best memories is riding Alien Swirling Saucers. I think our son really enjoyed that. I'm glad that I kind of stuck because we weren't going to do it. And I'm like, no, we're going back to Hollywood Studios. We're riding this ride. And he's going to like it. And he did. And I was really happy that I stuck with that. It was really hot that day. It was like a midday, so not the best time to even start to go to a place like Hollywood Studios. And we were already getting kind of tired, and I was like, no, we're going. And he had a blast.
He did.
And I had fun.
It's probably the ride that he had the most fun on, honestly.
Like giggling and like most like interactive. Like he wanted to go again. He didn't want to get off of it. And then we got to take pictures in front of Buzz, which was really great, even though our cheeks were all rosy. Because it was really hot. It was
warm that day. But yeah, no, that was pretty cool. I just liked riding a lot of the rides with him. I thought that was a great experience and a lot of fun. Like when he went on magic carpets with me, like that first day. Like
you were just happy that he picked you over me.
Seeing his reactions on like the rides as he started to like experience
just like the wow smile.
And,
like the Disney smile. Exactly. He didn't have anything. He was just smiling. Like, just taking it in. This just like, wow, awesome. This is happening.
Yeah. So definitely I think the rides were one of the most memorable things for me. Also, I think just that moment about like halfway through the trip when he realized like what was happening. And he finally was like, oh, wait, my room. We stay here.
Yeah.
We go to places.
And then we come back to Our room.
Yes.
He says our room.
Our room, yeah. Like
go back
when he
to our
started
room.
to like get what was happening, and like, oh, we can go and do some really cool things, and then we can come back here, and we're not going back to our house, but we're staying here in Mickey's house.
Yeah.
He had that realization like 2 or 3 days into the trip.
Yeah.
And once he had that realization, it was just fun.
It was easier because you got excited about going somewhere. He was kind of like, where are we going today? Kind of like thing. Like, it's not just,
and like even something
a
as
normal
simple as him,
day.
like being in the elevator and like wanting to push the button.
He just loved
and, like,
it.
Listening to Mickey go, the first floor on the elevator.
He'd be like, it's Mickey every time.
Like
every single time.
He did.
It was like it was the first time he had heard it every time we were in the elevator. But yeah, just the little things that you don't think that that's why we always say like you don't have to go above and beyond on trips. And obviously Disney costs a lot of money, but you don't have to like go above and beyond and spend your like money on all these things. Like the most fun he had was in the room going to the elevator or getting on the bus or watching the monorail. Like those were the things that he was like, wow, I can't wait to do this
That
thing.
first day when he saw the monorail for the first time was also a pretty awesome memory, too.
Yeah.
Like, that was a pretty great moment when he was like, monorail!
Yeah,
like it's real. It's not
real.
just the toy I have.
Yeah.
Like, and it's
like
huge.
It's
and
a big real life
hi, people.
monorail. Hi, people. Yeah, we were waving at the people in there, and yeah. So just those little things that slow down and take a moment to recognize them, because sometimes those are the best things that even they'll remember. Mm-hmm. Like maybe they won't remember the, Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique as much, but they're like, oh, remember when we saw the monorail and that was like really cool. So just the little moments.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he's getting older, obviously, and those little realizations are coming. He's kind of connecting the dots. So I think even like next year, if it's like oh, we're gonna go to Disney, he can finally know like, oh, we're going to that place again. So like that's gonna be fun. I think every trip now gets more and more fun because then the dots connect.
Right.
But this was a really important one at this age because it's like that still doesn't really know, but it's just pure magic. It's just like, wow, we're here. We went on a plane and now I'm riding rides. Like, this is amazing. I mean, the whole trip was a good memory for me. So the pool was fun with him too.
The pool was fun.
But yeah, my best one I think is going to be riding Aliens Rolling Saucers.
Yeah.
I think that was the most fun and the most like core memory, like you said in the beginning with Inside Out. A joy core memory that you have with us all laughing and him being like, wow. Kind of like not sure what to do. We didn't do the teacups either.
Didn't do the teacups, no.
See, there was a lot we didn't do. Anyways, that's fine.
It's tough, when you need to take breaks and you need to go back to hotels.
That means you just have to go longer, right?
That's right. Hello. What have I been saying?
I wasn't. I was saying that because that
Stop.
was you.
No,
not because I want
to. Nope. Everybody heard it. Everybody heard it. Okay? You heard it. It's going to be great. It's going to be the best that there ever was.
Stop.
Okay? It's going to be the best.
I was just going to say, what are you?
It's going to be the brightest.
Donnie?
It's got to be 2 weeks. You got to go for 2 weeks. 2 weeks is the best length for a trip that you can go on. It's 2 weeks. You get to do everything. You get to see everything. You don't feel rushed. They mentioned it was the best. It's the best.
It's the best. Anyways, on that note,
You gotta go for longer. 2 weeks.
go for longer.
2 weeks.
Oh man.
Maybe 2 weeks in December.
Yeah, right.
Early December for 2 weeks? That sounds like a lovely plan. Before Christmas, before New Year's. I'm just saying.
Don't dangle a carrot in front of me.
I'm not saying this December. I'm saying the following December.
Oh.
But I'm just saying. If we went this December, it would probably be like 4 days. But if we went next December, it'd be about a year and a half again. I'm just saying.
Not hot. Perfect
Still
temperature.
Not hot. It would be magically Christmas. I don't know. I think it's a good idea.
All right.
The best idea, maybe some may qualify
the
it
best.
as. Some may say it's the best.
Some.
Some.
Well, This was a long one, guys. We rambled on.
It wasn't that long.
I mean, we rambled a little bit. But we're good at that.
That's
why we have a podcast.
Do I ever ramble?
A little bit.
I think the whole point of this enterprise is people to listen to us talk. And that's what we're doing.
I'm just saying it was like a little bit longer than I expected, that's all.
The whole point of a podcast is we talk, people listen.
Yeah, I know. Got it.
If people didn't want to listen to us talk, then we wouldn't have any listeners. I'm still amazed that anybody wants to listen to this, frankly, but we appreciate you all out there for listening to us and for following us on our social media accounts. Remember, you can now find our episodes on YouTube. That's right. You can subscribe, like, share, all that stuff on YouTube. You can also give us 5-star ratings on your podcasting apps and subscribe if you can on your podcast apps. Depends on your podcast apps. Some of these podcast apps, man, I don't know.
I'm still trying to also
Apple
figure it out.
Podcast, I can never find the episodes. Like, you can never, I don't know, man. I don't love it.
Interesting.
Anyways, we're going to get kicked off all these podcasts.
I know, seriously, stop it.
But follow us on our social media accounts. If you have any questions or comments you want to reach out to us, send us an email at startswithawish.podcast@gmail.com. And remember, folks, it all starts with a wish. We'll see you real soon.
Bye.